And welcome back to the show. My name is Anna Mako. I am your host, and we are live today doing an interview with a new coach that I haven't had on here before by the name of Liz. And without further ado, Liz, would you care to introduce yourself, please?
Sure, Anna. Thanks so much for having me on your show. I'm very excited to be here. So my name is Liz Bull. I call myself an energy alchemist. And high performers work with me to get out of their own way. So my sweet spot is to identify and clear the blocked energy so that they can have what they actually want in their life, so that they can get unstuck. Many of them consider themselves stuck. They can't, they know they want something, or they think they want something, but they just can't seem to get there. That's where I go. That's how I assist people who are already performers performing better, clearing things that they didn't even know were in the way. They just knew something was in the way, but they didn't know what was in the way. So that's where we go.
Can I share a little bit about my experience with you?
Absolutely. Please do.
Okay, because this is why when we were talking about like postponing or not postponing, I was like, no. The actual reason is because I wanted to tell you, ever since I worked with you, before that, I kept getting tired. I mean, like, I had all these plans and things that I was going to do and how I was going to execute it. And the moment that I would start, it's like my blood would stop pumping and I would be exhausted and have to fall asleep. And since working with you, I have not only started moving, but I've also been building up my stamina. I've been able to like, okay, I'm going to do this much today. Okay, I'm doing this much. And like, you really got me unstuck.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. Oh, that makes me so happy.
That's why I really wanted you on the show. I'm like, no, it's happening because it's, I'm telling you, I feel like I've been struggling for at least like 5 years with this issue. And I didn't realize that until I had the stamina again. And I was doing this. I had a friend in town. We went to a museum that's like down South Florida that's all into metaphysics. I came back and did a podcast. I did the work that I need. I mean, all my tasks are being complete at the time that I needed them to be complete at.
Yay.
That's what, you, I never get to say this too, where it's like, no, you really like unstuck me. And it was the first time. We haven't done work before that. It was just one time.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. I love it. I love it.
I'm telling you, it's been, okay. So I have some questions for you.
Sure.
And this is a little bit about your journey and your background, because you have a very interesting background. Could you share your journey from corporate success to becoming an energy alchemist? Because it's not every day that you see people or meet people that are essentially woo. You're not woo-woo, you're just woo, and you're like still practical and pragmatic.
That's really true. That's absolutely true. I'm not one of those kind of airy fairy floaty around people. I'm really solidly rooted in the practical nuts and bolts of life. And there's also a very strong connection to the energy of the earth, energy of all that is, and that is what allows me to really hone in and tune in to what's going on with people and what's keeping them stuck, so that we can clear it out. I've had a couple of corporate careers. One was working for Citibank's Canadian affiliate, Mercantile Bank of Canada. I was actually a corporate trainer and then their manager of training and development. And it was during that time actually that I realized that this corporate thing, not so much. And there had been a deep desire of mine to do something more creative, because I do have a degree in art. I do.
Okay.
Yep, I have a degree in art and German literature. But that's another whole story. But yeah, so I went back to school in design. I went back to school in design and got a Master of Fine Arts from Parsons School of Design in New York in architectural lighting design. Because I realized I've always liked the built environment. Once again, we're being rooted, down to earth, practical stuff, right? Architecture. So I did that, and I became an architectural lighting designer, and I specialized in high rise. I became senior vice president of the Douglas Lee organization, and we used to joke that we started with the Empire State Building and worked our way down.
I'm sorry. You built high rises, is what you just said.
I did architecture. I was interested in the built environment and in architecture. So that's, very down to earth kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And I think maybe this is already kind of a hint at what was to come, because my role in that, my fascination was with light. Well, it doesn't get any more ephemeral than light. It doesn't, right? So, but the specialty was in high rise. And I was senior vice president of the Douglas Lee organization. And we used to joke that we started with the Empire State Building and worked our way down. And that was that was true. That was true. So I spent a lot of time in very, very, very high, scary places, and working with huge plans because of the scale. But then along that way, so that went on for almost 30 years. But towards the end of that time, I found myself getting curious. I'd always been interested in physics, quantum mechanics in particular. But women of my generation, physics was, I was like, that was like, no, little girl, you just go to the kitchen. You'll be fine. We'll have babies, we'll get married, have babies or something like that. Women don't do physics.
Wow.
And in fact, I had been told by my high school guidance counselor, because I was keenly interested in architecture in high school, and I thought, I'll be an architect, and he said, oh no, girls don't do that. No,
he really said that?
Yeah, he really said that. Oh yeah, he really said that. Girls don't do that. Girls do not do that.
You always hear of these stories, but it's rare that you actually meet the women that pioneered the way. I knew a woman that was a longshoreman that had the same kind of experience, and it's like, wow, it really happened.
Oh, absolutely, it happened. Yeah, he said, I don't know. He said, I don't think you'll get into architecture, but if by some miracle, you should do it. Well, you could design kitchens for a builder. That's what he said. That is
my guy.
That is exactly what he said. Yes, you could design kitchens for a builder. Yeah, I was like, So I never did. I'm sorry, what?
And then you ended up you started with the Empire State Building.
We used to joke that was one of our jobs. I've done lots of other jobs, but that was one of the buildings in our portfolio. Yes, and that's what we used to joke about. So anyway, as time progressed, I just got more and more curious about personal growth and just having more out of life. It just got to the point where it wasn't fun anymore. And I'm like, what's this about? What's this about? And a friend of mine said to me one day, she said, I'm going to this demonstration. You want to come? I'm going tonight. You come? I said, yeah, that would be great. Let's do it. So it turned out that the demonstration was by someone who did theta healing. And so she did her thing, and I felt very different at the end of that evening. And we're sitting in the car afterwards in the parking lot, and I turned to my friend and I said, I don't know what happened in there. I just know I'm not the same person who walked in the door. And she said, yeah, me neither. But I got curious about it. I just thought this was a really profound thing. And it was interesting because one of the things that she was hitting on was the notion of allegiances, having an allegiance to something. And quite honestly, I don't remember what my allegiance was to, but it was there and it got cleared and I felt different. And allegiances, I find allegiances are a major sticking thing for people. Like you can have an allegiance, you can have an allegiance to hard work. You can have an allegiance to poor people, which will keep you from charging money because, oh, I have an allegiance to the poor people,
Yeah.
You can have an allegiance to all kinds of wackadoodle things. So that just fascinated me. So I started the course of study in theta healing. One thing led to another, and I became a master theta healer. And then, being the geeky person that I am, I found out about another modality, and then another modality, and then another modality. So at this point, I've got 25 or so different certifications.
Oh my God.
I know.
Can you elaborate what is theta healing?
Theta healing, basically, it's a kind of it's a meditative state, which puts you in the theta brainwave state,
Mm-hmm.
which is where the magic happens. It's where the magic happens. So there's a process that we go through where you're going from one stage to the other, which kind of is putting you in a very deep meditative state. And when you're in a deep meditative state, then a lot of funky beliefs can get cleared out and more positive, useful ones can be installed.
Oh, so you're essentially clearing out the subconscious faulty beliefs that aren't helping you and then implementing. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
And you do that how?
That one is actually done talking. That one is done talking. So we're bringing you to that place, and then it relies a lot on doing downloads from the energy of all that is, or creator. Creator is the terminology used in theta healing for describing the energy of all that is. So you can have, for example, let's say an issue for you is worthiness. And there's a part of you that just doesn't even know what it is to be worthy. It's like, what is that, right? So we can go to the seventh plane, as it's called, the seventh plane of existence, and we can give you a download. We can give you creator's perspective, understanding, definition, and truth about what it is to be worthy. And then align your perspective, understanding, and definition of being worthy with creators.
Yeah, and I think I like to add, just for people that watch this, the words are really tricky because I recently I was working on one that I think you were there when we were working on drama.
Mm-hmm.
No, passion. Passion was a word that we were working on, and I thought passion was like my Hispanic telenovela soap operas. That it's like, oh, you hurt me, and it's like super dramatic. And I was corrected that no, passion is something that you love to do, and there's no effort in doing it without drama. It doesn't include drama. And those kind of faulty belief systems are the things that you're talking about correcting, right?
Yeah, because people do have kind of, we're informed by the environment we grow up in, right? Mm-hmm. And people don't always use words correctly. They don't. They have, or they make these funny associations, like you made the association with passion with, oh, Juan, oh, Maria, oh, Juan.
Oh my God, I didn't know I was like that in life, okay? I had no idea.
No, but I mean, the Spanish telenovelas are like that. Inevitably, it's something like, oh, Juan, oh, there are a lot of, what shall I say? Drama, a lot of drama, a lot of drama. Yeah. So you in your young mind, you had connected those, and there it is. And I mean, passion is one of those things that is bantered about a lot. It's bantered about a lot, and there's also kind of all that religious stuff that goes along with it too. The passion of Christ. Oh, right? I mean, really? Really? There's all that. I mean, no wonder we're confused. No wonder we're confused.
I like equated. That was another one that came up for me where I equated people hurting me with, well, Jesus went through. So I didn't know that was there either. So when you say that, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of,
So I was healing. This is something I struggle with as well. Why is healing meant to be fun rather than painful? I went in my healing or growing journey, whatever. I started in 19 or when I was 19, and one of the phrases I heard was, pain is a touchstone of growth. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Help me.
I think in general in our society, but particularly in the coaching arena, you know, I mean, the whole thing about no pain, no gain. Really? You know, is it a prerequisite? I don't think so. I don't think it has to be at all. That's nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense. So, and that, you know, that growth has to be painful. No, I don't think so. No, not really. Not really. I mean, do you hear flowers out there screaming?
No.
You know, when you drive by a cornfield or somebody's garden, you hear moans and groans.
Wait, okay, so my brain is saying, what about when you're growing, your bones hurt because they're developing and they're growing? Like they have like that deep achy shin splint?
So some people do and some people don't. Some people do and some people don't. Okay? Which tells me that there's some kind of beliefy thing going on, or there could be a nutritional deficit. That's the other thing, because I'm also a medical intuitive. That's another one of my certifications. And, you know, I'm saying probably some kind of nutritional deficit.
Yeah, I could definitely see that during that time of my life that I had nutritional deficit. So that makes actually a lot of sense, but it was playing into the story of pain is growth.
Yeah, because that was easier than saying, oh, maybe I'm missing something in my diet because I've been starving myself because I thought my body was, you know, the wrong shape, color, whatever. No.
Then do you think that? Oh, I had a good question. Oh, there it is. Sorry, this is not on the questionnaire, but it was like, oh, wait a second. So if you don't think that, I guess after what comes from growth is pain is a touchstone of growth in regards to like working hard, there's another phrase where it's like, it's not worth it if it's not, or like it's worth it because it was so difficult to get there. Is that kind of the same illusion?
That's nonsense.
I love you. How is it nonsense?
It's absolute nonsense. You know, it's like, really? So usually what's underneath that is some kind of family ethic thing about hard work and the value of hard work. And there's ego involved. You know, it was hard, but I did it. Because that's what we do in this family, because we're tough and we're hard workers. And if it's easy, well, you're not a hard worker. You're not, you know, if it's easy, you must be cheating. Oh, we can't be cheating.
My God, you just pinpointed all of my issues.
You know, and it's crazy. It's totally wackadoodle.
Wow. So that's just another program.
It's programming. It's programming. Because nobody, I mean, here's the thing, and that also, there's an underpinning of that with not being worthy, not being deserving, not being enough. Not being enough is the big one. If you think you're not enough, then you're gonna have to prove that you are enough. But wait a minute, I'm not enough. Oh, wait a minute, let me work harder. Let me try harder to prove that I am enough. Okay? And we prove that we're enough by working hard, or being smarter, or knowing all the answers. You know, got to know all the answers. That'll prove I'm enough. I have to know
Yeah.
all the answers. I have to know how to do lots of stuff. I have to do it all myself. That'll prove I'm enough.
Ooh. Ooh. Damn. Stop calling me out.
Oh,
I
you're
feel like
adorable.
the game, the wackadoodle game where you just keep on hitting the squirrel in my head. I'm like,
Whack-a-mole.
well, I've seen bits and pieces of it, and I guess it's, I don't know. Yeah, wow. Sorry, I'm just processing a lot. I've seen bits and pieces where like I feel like I don't deserve it. I feel like I'm not enough. I feel like I need to work harder. I feel like I need to know the answers more. But I never saw it as one complete picture the way that you just described it. It makes perfect sense. I'm like, oh, that's what I've been doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of times, quite honestly, I call them fine family traditions.
Go on.
Because a lot of, quite honestly, a lot of it's genetic. A lot of it's genetic. And they've proven that a lot of stuff goes back the Bible talks about 7 generations. I believe it's even further. I believe it goes back even further. And this stuff.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So I think in the Bible it talks about I think it's like the sins of the fathers or something like that go back 7 generations, right? But I think in laboratories they've proven things with rats and stuff. I guess I'm saying rats. It could be rabbits. I don't know.
It was animals. I know the one you're talking about, but keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, whatever. That it goes back even further. And there's some crazy things that they've proven. For example, there was one experiment with poor little rats. They shocked their little tootsies while they were infusing the atmosphere with the smell of cherries. Right?
Okay.
So generations later. So anyway, and they measured the shock response. They measured the stress response on that. So they're getting their little tootsies toasted. I think it was 3, 4. I think it was 5 generations later with the rats. All they had to do was waft the cherry smell, and the rats would freak. There wasn't even, they weren't toasting their tootsies at all. It was just the cherry smell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had come through in the genes. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I went, that's one of the things that I've been fascinated with because of my own experiences, seeing the patterns in my family and the things that they went through versus what I've gone through. It's like, it's the same story, but in different times. And I worked in therapeutic services for almost 10 years, coinciding with marketing. And that's another thing that I had seen there too, as well, is it wasn't just out of the blue. It had to do with like the family lineage. Like if the person would go through this, the child would go through this, the aunt would go through this, the niece would go through. And so I'm sorry, what you're saying though is it's nice hearing what I've already been studying from someone else that's equally as interested and fascinated in trying to figure out if you can figure out the pattern, you can help figure out a solution for it.
Yeah, well, not just a solution, but usually a healing of some sort, because the thing needs to be healed. Yeah. What happened needs to be healed. And I have I have a variety of possibilities that, I bring in order to do that. And then once it's gone, it's gone. We don't have to, the nice thing about the modalities, and maybe, and this has to do with my personal belief, and I am a veteran of, traditional psychotherapy and psychoanalysis.
That makes sense.
I am.
The way that you approach things.
Yeah, but I think it's also, my high-rise construction background is like, let's just get it done. Let's just get it done. We don't have to spend hours and hours and hours, moaning and groaning and, rehashing what happened and going through all the, no, we don't have to do that. I firmly believe that healing does not have to hurt. I think that's nonsense, absolute nonsense. And I don't go there. I do not go there. We do not rehash the pain. We do not rehash the suffering, because you don't need to. And if you don't need to, why in the world would you?
Well, I don't think anyone does want to, but we don't know it better. And it's, I say we because it's like I'm resonating with what you're saying. Since you worked on me, I haven't had it back. I haven't had to say, oh, I'm so tired and I'm exhausted, or I need a nap. Or, I mean, within like, now I do it within reason of like what a normal body is supposed to do. But it wasn't before. Before it was, I just was upset about it all the time.
Yeah.
How can you give me any success stories for you've had with clients and them stuff so that they achieve the same impossible other than myself?
Yeah, sure. So there's a young guy comes to mind. He was 30 something, and he was trained as a chiropractor, and he was starting out in his business. And at that time, to save money, and at his parents' encouragement, he was living in his parents' basement, running a chiropractic business, not in the basement, of course. He was renting a place where he was doing that. So he wanted his business to be successful. He wanted to make, 6 figures and beyond. And he wanted to get married. Those were his 2 big things that he wanted. He wanted somebody who would love him and adore him and marry him and have kids with him and all that, right? None of that was on the horizon at the time. So, smart lad. He also got himself a business coach. I'm not a business coach. I do, help people in business, but I am not a business coach per se. One day, so we were making great progress, because he had a lot of family drama and stuff that we were working through. But one day he called me up, and it wasn't our normal time or anything like that. And he said, "Liz, you got to help me out." What's the matter? He says, "My back is locked up. I can't move. And, I've gone to my chiropractor friends, and they've tried to help me, but nothing's helping. I mean, the poor guy, he was in such pain." So I said, "Okay, well, let's get to work here." So I looked at him and I said, okay. So your cells will literally hold on to emotions and beliefs. They literally do that. Mm-hmm. And he had a bunch of them going on. It was a great fun session, because obviously he knows the names of all the bones. He knows the names of all the muscles, as do I. But he's more fluid with it. But anyway, so we had a good time. So, is it the C3? Is it the C4? It is the L1, the L2. So we're going through, is it the scapulae? Is it the latissimus dorsi?
Got it.
So we're just going through them all, right? And they all had something to say. There was not one single muscle or bone in that man's back that didn't have something to say. Really, it was crazy. So we're clearing. But the thing that really did it, and I can't remember which bone it was, but this is several years ago now. But the issue was that if he made a big success out of his business financially, it would humiliate his father. It would destroy his father. That was his belief, because his dad, and I happen to know his parents. His dad was a home inspector, but his dad had also basically had a failed career in another business, right? Yeah.
And then it's into, I think I struggle with the same thing of like, you couldn't do it, but then I could, and it's like shame. Oof.
Yep. Yeah. All the shame. Yep. Yeah.
It's crazy how you can how long have you been doing this for?
About 20 years now.
That makes sense, because I don't even give you any information, and you're just already telling me what I've been thinking, but in a clear picture as opposed to bits and pieces of data. That's wild. Sorry. That is a little wild.
Yeah. And he did get married, and he does have kids now. So
is success in business?
Mhm.
And he got success in business as well?
Yeah.
So you said that you're not a business coach.
I'm sorry.
You said that you're not. There's a difference between a business coach and you. What would the difference be?
Business coaches will give you strategies. They'll give you, how to do sales, how to crunch your numbers, how to determine, what your baseline income needs to be, what steps you need to take to build your business. In this case, he had hired somebody who specifically worked with chiropractors, how to build a chiropractic business and make it hugely successful. Which that's not what I do.
And you do the energy behind it of what's blocking you from succeeding.
Yeah, I clear the energy. I help you get out of your own way. Because that's really what it boils down to, is you've got this stuff running in the background, this programming that's not serving you, that is keeping you from getting what you say, what your brain is saying you want, but with your subconscious is going, oh no, you don't. Have you any idea what's going to happen if you do that? Shame on you. Who are you to do that? You've got all this background, right? I can't do that. Girls don't do that. Who am I as a woman to do that?
God, I love you so much. I fangirl over you.
Oh, you're sweet. I love you too. But yeah.
It's you're hitting it on the nail. I just have to. That's what advice do you have for someone who feels overwhelmed by time, money, and health struggles?
Call me. Call me. Let's figure out which one it is, and where we need to go first. Because time is a huge one for people. Actually, I was working with one of my clients today. We were working on time, and his underlying belief was, and it wasn't his. This is another thing. There's a lot of stuff. It's like you just pick it right up from your parents or grandparents, whoever was significant in your life early on. But it has to do with this time struggle. I'll never get it done. I can't ever get it done. So there's this underlying, I can't ever get it done. So there's a loop, and embedded in that loop and in that belief is this stress. It's insane, because you feel like it's an insane amount of stress there. Oh my God, I'll never get it done. Oh, I'll never get it done. And that works on your whole system, your body, and you wonder why you're having trouble sleeping. You wonder why you're having trouble with your stomach. You wonder why you feel like you're going to have a freaking heart attack. I'll never get it done. I can't ever get it done.
I hate that you're like calling all of my insecurities out. It's like, I don't know, right there. And I'm like, it's not every day. It's okay. So how do you decipher if it's time, money, or health struggles? Or is that like an intuitive?
It's intuitive. It's basically intuitive. I mean, at the start, I usually ask people, so what's up? And usually what's up comes out of their mouth, and we know immediately where we need to start. It's not usually an assortment of things that come out of people's mouths. It's usually one thing that's right up front, right up front. Wants attention. And sometimes I just go through, I have, like I said, I have a lot of different modalities that I can pull in and use. So I will typically ask, is this something about beliefs? Yes or no? Is this something that we need to address with the body? Yes or no? So we can start either way.
What are some of the modalities that you utilize?
So theta healing is one that I pull in on. There's something called matrix energetics that I pull in on. There's something called Access Consciousness. And I'm also certified in by Dr. Bradley Nelson in the body code, the emotion code, and the belief code. And those three things work together very well. They kind of flip around. And then the last one that I use quite a lot actually is called LIFT, LIIFT, which is life enhancing, I don't know, something or other. The guy who came up with it is Brian Eastman. He's in Cincinnati, and he calls it untherapy.
I like that. Go on.
Untherapy. Lift untherapy. Yeah.
So,
And it's great. Yeah. It looks a lot. What's interesting about Lift that's not in the others is Brian comes from the background. There were some therapies in the 70s that were popular. I'm trying to think, what's the name of it? I'll think of it in a minute. But it has to do with family dynamics and who's the victim, who's the perpetrator, and that sort of thing, and looking at younger, parts of there's that whole construct of that we all have parts of ourselves, and there's usually a younger version of you who was never treated, who might not have been treated as well as they should have been, and so is still deeply wounded and needs a lot of attention. So that's a place in Lift. There's a whole segment on that which we can go through that addresses just that, the younger version of you, and basically the nurturing structure that needs to be put into place, things that you need. It's where I literally say things to you like, you're wanted until you can feel, oh, I'm wanted. I've always been wanted.
oh my God, because you gave me the feeling of contentment now that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind if I play a little bit of our session?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Let me just pull this up.
Sure. Transactional analysis was the word I was trying to think of. Transactional analysis, TA.
Transactional analysis. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it was called. You never hear about it anymore. I think it was just like a lot of those things, the parties involved get into little spats and such, and then it all blows up.
Oh my God, I think I can actually pull up. Hold on. Liz. Come on, computer. Come on, you beautiful computer. Girl, I know it's okay. I'm going to move this because I know it's here. Let's go to desktop. I actually want to upload it instead of playing it as a share because sometimes as a share, it's a pain in the butt.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Don't show it again. Goodbye.
Okay, so I just want to share with people that watch this. There we go. So this was a session that I had with you where you literally worked on me and you removed a lot of blockages from my dad's side. I believe it said that was what you said. And then you also gave me the feeling of contentment. And let's just.
I love the way that you do that. Okay, time to do the blowing thing. All right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go. Blow. Breathe it in. And release. And blow.
of it.
Huh? And breathe it in and release.
So you had done the belief session, or the removing the belief code, I think it was, and like something from my dad's side, and this was you literally telling me to blow in contentment into my body. I know it looks weird, but I mean, to other people that may not.
And blow and breathe it in and release. All right, the soul ancestors are coming up again. Okay, let's see what we're doing.
Wow. I look like I'm on drugs.
Despair is what's coming up next. Surprise, surprise.
I love you. Surprise, surprise. This is why I wanted to play it though, because I think it's really important, especially as entrepreneurs. We're all told to go to deal with our shit, essentially, go to therapy, try and fix ourselves, da 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 da. This was like 5 years of therapy in one session and leaving feeling better.
That's accurate. Yeah.
I'm laughing at despair. I love the way that you do that. See, it's so apathetic.
Surprise, surprise.
That's the one that I actually like resonated with the most. Okay.
They're all there. Things come up in the order they're meant to. So there you go. Sometimes some things need to be cleared off before the other stuff is willing to come forward and say, okay, I'm ready now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That's how it works. So let's see how we're doing it for quarter 200 self-hug. Oh, wait. Hang on. We got something else to do first.
Oh.
We need to install something. Peace, joy, feeling safe, happy. Contentment.
There it is.
That's what we're going to install.
Would love that.
Yeah, I know. What's that, right?
And you can tell, so I have this problem of nervous laugh. It's not nervous laughing. It's like I realize even if I go to get a massage and I'm in pain, I start giggling. And I've calmed that down significantly. That I didn't know that was a thing. It was a tick, if you will, that like when I was in pain, I would laugh. And it feels gross even saying it out loud, but let me remove this for a second. It feels gross saying it out loud, but at the same time, it's when you can see it, it's so much easier to be like, oh wow, that's what's been holding me back. Because it seeps through in every aspect. Yes, that would be what I would do when I'm in pain, but it would also be what I would do when I'm nervous and I'm trying to make a sale, or I'm trying to help, or I'm trying to explain things. That nervousness would come out and be overbearing, and it's calmed down so much.
Fantastic. That's great. I'm thrilled to hear that. That's great. Yay!
Yeah.
I love it.
So
laughter can come up for women often in the face of anger or conflict. It's where we give our power away through laughter.
Oh my God, you're so right. Because even my friends that are usually like around the edges, they're making jokes at my expense, and I was no longer funny about it. I was like stern. I didn't realize that one. Sorry, when you say that it hits different. As women give our power when we laugh. It's like dismiss the disrespect or the hurt or anything. We dismiss it and make it okay.
You laugh. A lot of that's conditioning. I mean, there is a thing. I worked with a woman, Dr. Valerie Ryan, a few years ago. She's a woman who identified and wrote extensively about patriarchy stress disorder. And women have a whole bunch of coping mechanisms, and laughter, giggling is one of them. Because historically, I mean, we've really been literally at men's mercy. So, I mean, people talk about, fight, flight, freeze. Well, not so much, because fight was not an option for women. Get killed, beaten up, whatever. Flight required resources, which women traditionally did not have. And freeze would also get you killed. You can't just, stand there and freeze. And so what women did was said, we'll do please. We'll please them. We'll be kind of innocuous. We'll giggle. We'll be cute. We'll do that. It's a survival mechanism. It is. It's a survival mechanism.
Okay. I swear you're like a bunch of, it's like talking to 20 therapists at once.
Oh my.
Because you pinpoint it and it's like, oh my God, there it is. It gives people pleasing a whole different understanding. I will say that I think that, like, especially in our modern era, both men and women have a lot of the same tendencies.
But it's not from the same genesis.
No, it's not from the same genesis, and I'm having a much better understanding the way that you're explaining it rather than bits and pieces. Like I said, it's like one big, I keep saying it, it's one big picture.
Well, it is lots of little different parts. Yeah. And there are certain personality profiles. I'm addressing the men issue with the people pleasing. People pleasing, there is a profile called team player. There's a guy named Reese Thomas who came up with a whole bunch of personality profiles. And one of them is team player. And team players they're almost like Labrador retrievers, like, I'll do whatever. I'm good. I'm good. What do you need? What do you need? I'll take care of it. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it comes across as people pleasing, but the genesis is more like out of something else. It's out of something else.
Well, I didn't even mean that. I meant that, like, okay, one of the big things that I see with men is that they're dismissive is the same as the woman's please. They learned how to cope by dismissing things and avoiding things, where women learned how to laugh in order to be able to please, so they wouldn't be in danger.
Say more about that. I'm not sure I'm following you here.
So I like to look at both men and women in the same way, in the sense of, like, we talk a lot about I grew up talking a lot about the patriarchy, but when I look at everyday men, they don't actually benefit from the patriarchy. They're very much in lack and depletion. And a part of that lack and depletion of their form of people pleasing is avoiding confrontation at every single cost possible. So they avoid the confrontation, they avoid the relationships, they avoid the friendships, they avoid the entrepreneurship. And it's like a woman dismissing disrespect, dismissing danger.
I think there's something else going on there. I think there's something else going on there. Because I think what's true about a lot of men is that they are estranged from their emotions. They're conditioned not to get involved with their emotions in many instances. And if you don't have that, then your capacity for connection is diminished. And
that's what I mean.
Your capacity for connection is diminished because you're cut off from your emotions. And that's something, I mean, one of my clients said to me, he said, Liz, you need to deal with men, because a lot of them they have no idea what they're feeling. They don't know. They are clueless. And that is our work together with him, is getting him in touch with his emotions. Because for many, I think a lot of little boys, little boys aren't allowed to cry. You can't cry. You got to man up. All that sort of thing. You have to deny. And when you're denying your emotions, basically you're denying yourself. You're denying yourself.
I resonated a lot with the way that boys thought and felt because of the way that I grew up. It's like push your feelings aside and get things done. And that's how I ended up depleted. And so, but I love your work. I think I only know one other person anything similar to yours. And I love yours specifically because you don't have to talk about it. Like, I tried therapeutic right. I tried talking about my feelings. I tried finding the problem solution, tried implementation. It wasn't until you yanked out the problem and put in goodness that my heart, I was like, what is this feeling? And why now I'm like a sippy little bit right now. I'm like feeling everything. And the importance of it that people don't realize is your heart has neurons. So you have brain neurons and you have heart neurons. And what it steps on was showing the more heart neurons you have, the more of a premonition and intuition that you have. So utilizing your brain neurons and your heart neurons, you can pretty much understand what to do with your life. When you don't have the heart neurons, you're basically
you're literally walled off. There is such a thing called a heart wall, which is one of the things that I help people with a lot, because a lot of people have them. It's like, it was painful. The heart goes, I'm not having any more of that. I'm going to build a wall,
Yeah.
And some of the heart walls I've looked at with people, and someone was like, so, yours is more like the Hoover Dam, some of them are just like fortress complete with the guys with the spears. It's crazy. It's crazy. But more to the point, the other thing is that if you can't identify your emotions, you can't speak them, you can't communicate them, because language is how we do that. And if you don't have the language, you have no way to do it. You have no access. And that was certainly true of me, because in my family, we didn't do emotions. We did not do emotions. The emotions we did were anger and tears, and tears were like, nah, quit your crying and cry about, so we didn't do that much either. And things got, were really, my family's, we had our own version of crazy, but I literally did not have a vocabulary for my emotions. I didn't. I had to learn that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's teachable, and it's possible for us to learn.
It is a process. Fortunately, there are tools now that weren't available, back in the day, but they're there now. They are there now. So you can start to sort through and say, and you can even start with, when you say that, I don't feel good. You can always start with that. Like, that doesn't feel good to me.
I like that. I think I started with that, and it's like, people were like, what? And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't feel good, because it didn't. That's the only way I could explain it or express it.
Yeah.
Could you tell us, before we go, our audience, about the free consultation you offer and what they can expect if they choose to work with you?
Sure. So, I carve out time every week to offer a complimentary consultation for whomever to get clear on, what's up, what do you want, what's going on, and where we could go, what's possible. And I usually start with, the major areas where things just aren't working well. It could be your relationships, it could be your health, it could be, time and money freedom. There's kind of basic areas, it's like, what's not working? It could be your career, it could be, your vocation. And by vocation, I don't just mean your job, I mean your calling. What is it you really are called to do? Sometimes they come together, like right now, my calling and my vocation are the same. They are completely aligned, and I couldn't be happier. That's good. But maybe that's true for you, and For many people, it's not. And when it's not, it can literally make you sick. If you feel like you're going to a job that pays well, but you feel like you have to check your soul at the door, that's not such a good thing.
It comes at a cost. It
comes at a huge, huge cost, huge cost. So anyway, so we spend some time on that. And then if it feels like it's something that you want to pursue with me, then we can discuss what that would look like. Typically, people work with me for a year, and we speak twice a month. We work over Zoom or over the phone. It doesn't matter. We can do it either way. And that's how we go. That's how we go. Like I said, it's painless. You will get some immediate results. I have no way of predicting what they're going to be. The one thing I can promise in our work together, people who work with me, I have two promises. One, it will be kind of an interesting ride. It may be somewhat chaotic. It's not a training program. It doesn't go, da 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 da, because the psyche is a wild and wacky place. So there will be chaos. There will be change, and I will stick with you as long as you stick with you.
Amazing. And how can if you don't mind just giving us an explanation one more time, who you are and how you help clients and how they can find you?
Okay, so I'm Liz Bull. I'm an energy alchemist, and high achievers work with me to have peace in their life, to feel secure, to have more light, more love, more money, essentially. More light, more love, more money, and satisfaction in their lives. That's how it works. And to book a call with me, just go to speaktoliz.com, and make sure you use the drop down if you're in someplace other than the Eastern time zone, because it defaults to Eastern.
And I am dropping the
Speak to Liz.
Speaktoliz.com. I just put the link in the chat and it's in the description. So if you guys want to find out more about Liz and work with her, you can click on any of the links below. You can also take my word, because I never get to say I worked with her and she got me unstuck, and I'm looking to work more with you so that I can make more money. Especially from this conversation, realizing like that I still have a lot of limiting beliefs in there. But again, thank you so much. Like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.